Hello, I'm Brianna Wattrell, and I am here to teach you how to use the basic tools of WordPress to edit your WordPress site. I'm not going to teach you how to set up a WordPress site because that's extremely straightforward and fairly self-explanatory. I want to focus this video on how to customize your site, how to make it look nice, how to make it something that is visually attractive to your visitors. So a little bit of background, what you're looking at is my teaching portfolio that I created for the English 219 course that I teach. I have also, in addition to this, I've also used WordPress for personal blogging purposes for a few years, so I'm pretty familiar with the different usages of the site and what one can do to customize it, so I feel fairly adequate at explaining this to you all. So once you have your WordPress site set up, you'll want to make sure you're logged into your account. It'll show a little icon up there, and it'll have your address in the address bar, and it will have these tools down in the bottom right hand corner: customize, edit, and stats. We're going to start with customize, which is focused on making your site, in terms of its layout, look nice. So down here in this menu, I have a bunch of different options for what I can do to make my site look nicer. So if you have picked a theme and you think, okay, this layout is really nice, but I have some issues with the color scheme, or I'm not a fan of these certain things, this is a really great place to go. So I'm going to go to colors and backgrounds. So you can change the background if you want. Personally, I'm a fan of this neutral background I have going on. I think that picking another color makes it look a little bit too busy and a little bit too clashy, but if you have kind of a different theme that doesn't have quite so many different colors, like I have the gray down here, I have white here, I have an image here, I have a color here, so adding another color here just seems overdone. But if you have a more minimalistic theme, then go for it. And then I can also choose a palette for the rest of my site, just kind of a base theme color, which, as you see, changed the bar up here and my social media buttons down here. I actually really like how this looks, so I'm going to change my site to look like this. And obviously, when you make a change, hit the Save and Publish button. If you want to edit more things, then just hit that back button like I did, and you can go play with that. So if you want to use different fonts, there's a pretty good selection of them, and they're all really easy to read. So with the exception of Tangerine, I think that's a little bit wild looking. So let's say I wanted to pick something a little different from my header. Let's say I wanted to pick Cinzel. Oh, that looks really nice. I really like that. So there you can see that my title up here changed, and then my headers at the top of each page changed. I think that this font contrast is pretty nice. As you know, if you have heard me rant about fonts in class, I am a big fan of mixing sans serif and serif fonts, and what we have here, Cinzel, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but whatever, is a serif font. You can see the little feet at the bottoms of the letters, down there at the T, and then at the A. And then I'm using a sans serif font for my body text. I know, I'm a horrible heretic, but online is the one place where I actually don't mind sans serif fonts. I don't know why. It probably has something to do with the fact that most of the stuff I grew up reading on the internet was in sans serif fonts, but whatever. So I'm fond of that. If I wanted to have a different base font, I would change that. I think the default looks nice here. I think there's a pretty nifty looking contrast, so just going to hit save and publish so my changes are saved. If you want to have a menu that's a little bit different than what's offered, then you can do that. As you can see on my site, I have a primary menu, which is the one along the top that's in kind of this blue color that says home, teaching philosophy, writing assignments, and contact. And then I have the social media bar, which is at the bottom and has, theoretically, it would have links to my social media, but I haven't actually done that yet. Oops. So I'm sure that some of you will just want to keep this here, but if you want to delete the social media menu, then you can just go click on it and hit delete menu if that's not something you want to have on your site. Content options. So this is more for blogging, but if you do have a situation where you're kind of utilizing blog posts as a tool, then you can choose what you want to display. You can display the date, the categories, the tags, or if you don't want to do that, you can just uncheck all those boxes. So that's fun. Additionally, you can add a header image if you want to. I actually believe that would go above the teaching portfolio words, which in some cases it might look nice. In the case of my personal site, it would look super trashy. So I'm not going to do it, but I just wanted to show you that this is here. So if you want to, you can upload an image for your header. If you have something that's relevant to your topic, you can use one of the default ones. They have city lights, random city, like a notebook, a flower, wood, the edge of a table, plants, and what looks like breakfast that I would really like to eat. So those are some of your options. They're fairly limited, but you can upload something. But just make sure that it is, I'm going to go back to that real quick, 1180 by 160 pixels. If you need to do some image editing, you can do that in Preview on a Mac or Windows Photo Editor on a PC. It's fairly straightforward. You can usually crop things so that it's roughly that size and then kind of rearrange the numbers until it's more appropriate. I assume that most of you would like a static front page. That's an option when you're setting up the site, but if you decide not to go with it, then if you decide not to go with it at that time, then you can change it now. So if you accidentally hit something more blog style and you actually want a static front page, then you can go to static front page, as the name implies, and change it. So those are the basic essential functions of the customization tool. As you can see, it does stuff with your overall theme, and the changes are published. Edit is obviously for playing with the individual pages. So here I have my homepage, which has just kind of a brief bio. If I want to edit this image, this is where you would go to edit the header image or the background image on a specific page. It seems a little bit weird that it's not in the theme or the customization tab, but in the overall scheme of things, it makes sense because for a lot of this, there are different header images on each page. So if I decided that I did not like this, I could pick a new one. There are another couple of book-related ones, or if I wanted to use something more personal, then I could upload something and then I could change it to my featured image. That's something that you can do for any page. Just in case you're not familiar with it, the text editor is pretty standard. You have your bold, italicizing, link, block quote, different alignment type things. So if you want to mess with that, it should be pretty straightforward. If you wind up with something that looks like this, then if you're more comfortable with doing everything via HTML, awesome, kudos to you. I'm not one of those people, so I personally prefer to be able to just do the simple thing and click the button instead of typing the special HTML tags for italics or boldness or whatever. But if you're a person who prefers to do things the old school way, then do you. So if I wanted to insert media or something into my page, I would click on this button. So if I wanted to add another image, if I wanted to add a link to a document, like if I wanted to add a link to my CV, which I actually can do somewhere around here, I could upload it and my CV would be right there on my site for people to find. I would not put it at the beginning of a sentence. I would theoretically stick it down here. And then so theoretically, if I made another site, then it would be there. That, in terms of aesthetic, does not look great, but in terms of giving people access to my CV in a way that's not super obnoxious, it's pretty okay. So if you have a document, I would personally suggest you naming it something other than the file name, like click here to see the list of national parks in the United States, or whatever you have to put in your PDF document. So if you have something that you want people to be able to download and look at offline, you can insert a document. Side note, for stuff like this, PDF is the way to go. You can convert into a PDF from Open Office, from Microsoft Word, from Google Drive, whatever you're using, you should be able to convert to a PDF. Just because you don't know how people are reading this, and sometimes people's phones or even their computers, if they don't have the right software, don't open a Word document. So putting a PDF ensures that you have something that looks nice. So I'm going to hit update. And so now my change is live. Also, if at any point in the editing process you want to preview, you can just, hit the preview button. So that's that. Editing other pages is fairly similar to this. I'm going to quickly show you what you might do with a contact page. So this is what would happen. This was actually a default that came with my theme. So if you didn't pick a theme that has a contact form, but you want one, what you would do is do add contact form, and that'll add everything for you. I just have this for folks who want to contact me about the work that I have on my online teaching portfolio. You might not necessarily need this, but it's a good thing to know how to do in case you want to mess with it. So, and then as you can see, we have the header image, and it's the same deal as everything else, where if I wanted to pick a different image, I could do that. I could upload my own thing, and that could be the header image if I wanted something a little bit more personalized. For this purpose, I'm fine having something a little more generic and impersonal. So that's that. So those are the basics of how to use WordPress, how to customize your site, how to make it look not like garbage. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.